Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. Um, Matt, you just got back from another trip, so we figured it's a good time to sit down and kind of go through another one of the discussions that we would usually just wait until Christmas to have anyway. So,
Exactly. Kind of getting back off the road and kind of first thing, kind of boot up PS5 and get some
yeah.
more Crisis Core in. So anyway, this is perfectly timed. So
Right,
yeah.
right on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about like remakes and remasters. We've obviously already spent a lot of time talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake over the couple of months we've been doing this.
It
But
always sneaks in.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
My friend was laughing at me again on the last episode because I was like, all right, we're not talking about Final Fantasy, but how's Crisis Core going? And then like
Yeah.
30 minutes later, we're like, okay. So whatever. It is what it is. I don't care. It's gonna happen.
It's always there's always a cameo. There's always some sort of FF7 or FF7 remake cameo always that sneaks in.
Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna talk about some today anyway. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because just like in the last couple, like recent, maybe like 5 or 6 years, even, we've just been like, for those of us that like grew up playing some of these games, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, or whatever, it's just like an embarrassment of riches of like very high quality like remasters and remakes and reimaginings, that kind of thing. That it's just between like we'll talk like a little bit just about like like more what I expect from like remasters. Because I'm going to talk about Metroid Prime a little bit, and uh the FF12 remaster and the Pixel remasters. Like those are ones I've played through recently. And just like how they honestly are like setting the standard for me for what a remaster should and could be.
Yeah.
And then remake side, we'll probably talk a little bit about 7 remake. And I just went through Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes again to get
Oh
ready
wow.
for Resident Evil 4, which came out like 2 weeks ago, March 24th or something.
Yeah.
And I'm already like more than halfway through my second playthrough of it.
You're like more than halfway. I was like, wait, you haven't finished yet? My second play.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, well, wait, Garrett, come on. Well, why are we doing this podcast?
Yeah. Hurry up and finish.
Hurry up and finish it. Come on, geez, it's been 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I finished it on the Monday after the Friday it came out. Don't worry about that.
Wow.
So I generally just want to talk about that game, and just with the remakes and remasters and things like that we've had in the last couple of years. It's just like a good topic to discuss because, like I said, we're just like living the high life right now with being like so generous with all these like really high quality remasters and stuff.
It's funny, yeah. Like, I mean, like in the entire spectrum of history of the universe kind of thing, like why is it that our like gaming adolescence is in that perfect sweet spot
Yeah.
that like like growing up, just like my favorite game in the world is FF7, and like and I'll play this game until the technology doesn't make any sense anymore. It's like, oh, they'll never remake that. Like it's
Right.
that's from 1997, and that's when it was. And now, like, whoa, my favorite game in the world is being as a remake. And like Resident Evil 2, same thing. Like, what happened? Like this it's not like
Yeah.
every generation has their whatever. It's just a weird
Well, and
luck. Yeah.
I genuinely think it comes out of um like those games were made at a time where
Mm,
like how do I put it? Like the limitations were so high for what, like, because like people's imaginations haven't like
yeah.
evolved much in terms of the type of type of story I want to tell or type of experience I want to create. They just couldn't create it close to what they were imagining because the technology was so limiting.
Yeah.
And I just feel like when it's like under those constraints, the creativity in the ideas or whatever like has to come out in different ways, and that stuff that maybe makes it more like of a timeless thing rather than just, oh, this game just looks really good. Well, in 3 years, every game's going to look better than that or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's
And
more
I
like
guess
the diamonds coming out of the rough because of just they can't do the thing that's in their head, so they got to get creative and find different ways of presenting it or whatever.
and maybe part of it too is like, say, what about the people who had Mario Brothers 1 in high school? Like what about the like someone who was in high school in 89 or whatever? And it's like it's not like they it's like, oh, where's my Super Mario Brothers 1 remake? Well, every subsequent Mario game is it's kind of and it's like the story of that it's
Right.
not so much that you remake that, whereas maybe like coming in the FF7, Metroid Prime, Resident Evil kind of era, the gaming technology was good enough that people would actually, oh, okay, we can put a story behind this because it's not just 5 pixels dancing around the
Right.
screen a little
It's
bit.
like just enough limitations that you can stretch your wings a little bit, but not
Yeah.
such a limitation that it's like you're just gonna be a guy running from left to right on the screen. Like, what more do you want from me?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
So it's kind
thing.
of like, oh, let's go back in time to see like, should we remake this game? And it's like, why remake this game? Let's just make another game like it. And
Right.
the story wasn't captivating enough for there to be such a fan base of this game. There's a fan base of the genre or the series or
Right.
whatever, but this game in particular. And I feel like FF6 Chrono Trigger almost like, oh man, they might go back. Like if people went back one more like year or two, there's a good treasure trove there for
Yeah.
remakes. But
And
yeah,
like there's been some, Trials of Mana was that came out in 2020, I think, and that was a 3D remake, but like mid-tier budget compared to like something like a 7 remake or Resident Evil remakes
yeah,
of an SNES game, which was like Secret of Mana 3 technically, but it was Japan only.
hmm
Um, and like, knowing it's got like a medium budget, like I loved that game. And it's like it very clearly is like a Super NES era RPG in terms of its storytelling, and it's like, oh, why is this guy evil? I don't know, he just wants to destroy the world. Okay, let's go kill him. Like,
go
whatever.
for
Like,
it.
we're just
Yeah,
like that that level of don't worry about it, just go play the game kind of thing.
yeah,
So like there definitely like is value in those, but it's also, I feel like it's also a much harder conversion to make when you're going purely to 2D space to like, okay, how does this actually work in 3D? Like, what does Figaro Castle look like as a castle? It's not
yeah,
just like, 20 feet like long and 20 feet wide. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like that is probably one of the parts that makes that more difficult.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's a one stretch where it's almost like, too many people would be upset with our interpretation of this.
yeah,
This isn't right or whatever.
yeah.
Whereas the taking Midgar and kind of turning that into this, it seems like okay, your source material is 3D, so it's kind of a little bit,
At least the like even the pre-rendered like backgrounds were like a
yeah,
better idea of what the 3D space would look
yeah,
like, or and I could be completely full of shit. Like, I don't know, like maybe that's not what it is at all, but I just feel like it was just the right amount of limitation for what people could make, that they could
yeah,
get creative enough that
yeah.
that stuff like shone through and kind of withstands the test of time a little better than something in the 80s
Yeah.
in terms of limitations. And that's my theory on it, at least.
Totally, and it's just I just feel like it's unfair. Like I feel guilty that like it's not my favorite game of all time. It's like my favorite anything of all time.
Yeah.
Like I love the world of Final Fantasy VII more than I like most things in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's just it's my favorite story, character, like that game changed my life. And it's like I get to, and I've loved it my entire life. And now I get to play it through multiple games
And
again.
that was the
Yeah.
thing when people were like, "Oh, it's episodic." I'm like, "Okay, so you're telling me I get to play like a new version of Final Fantasy 7 for like the next 7 or 8 years? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's only Midgar ripoff. It's like a ripoff, and it's an opposite of a ripoff. Uh,
And like for just us in general, being such like Final Fantasy nerds, that like literally is like part of my identity.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
truly
yeah, yeah.
is.
That's a really good way to put it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
And for us, it's like I had so I had Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker, which was like an unbelievable payoff for like 10 years of narrative buildup. Like it was like the Avengers Endgame type of payoff
Yeah. Yeah.
in that expansion. And then I think no, Intergrade was before that. So that was Endwalker. Then we have Final Fantasy 16 coming out in like 2 months, 2.5
Mhm.
months, which is insane.
Yeah.
Uh, FF7 Rebirth coming, and then my expansion for 14 will probably be in the next year after that. It's just like
Yeah.
it's
Oh man.
insane how much Final Fantasy I can play. Oh, a Crisis Core, that was the other thing that we
Yeah.
got, in between. I knew I was forgetting one, and the Pixel remasters. Just like God, it's
Yeah.
just like yes, please, like give me
Yeah.
all of this stuff. I will take it gladly.
And
Um,
kind of I'll stop gushing here soon, but yeah, like seven in particular, yeah, it's part of who I am.
yeah,
Like that game, that story, that universe is a part of me, during a time, and when you're an adolescent, like it just, that thing is built in my bones, kind of thing, of being
yeah,
so important and part of, you know, how you set your value system and stuff. Like, anyways,
yeah.
it's just like that game
It,
is
it,
everything to me. So yeah.
it's yeah, it's such like a it's so much more than just a game we like to play and talk about. It's like
Yeah.
truly is just something we've like grown up just loving and like
Mm.
dissecting in every possible way. Yeah.
It's
Um,
funny too, because like a couple episodes ago, you were just like Aerith or Tifa, and it's like you can't just ask me that. That's like that's a
I
philosophical
know.
question that's like been something I've debated my entire life.
I know.
Yeah. It's like it's like that's not a, you know uh team whatever versus team whatever. It's like, no, that's my whole being, is that question. But anyway, and it's funny, actually, I don't know if you noticed, but this came in the mail the other day, which is my Tifa
Oh,
static
hold
cards.
on. I can't quite see it on. I'll
I'll
fix it. I'll fix it right now.
Oh, okay.
It's cutting off a little bit there. Now I should be able to see it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll bring it close to the screen. But that, like, I ordered that like when I ordered FF7 Remake from Square Enix,
Jesus.
and it was just like, okay, this isn't ready yet, but we'll send it when it's ready. And then it came in the mail the other day. I was like, what the crap? Like, I didn't order anything from Square Enix. Like, oh yeah, Tifa, amazing. Anyways, it's amazing.
I
I
can
love
see
it.
it
So
now. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
no. Anyway.
So yeah, we like Final Fantasy 7 here. Uh,
Yeah.
um, so
We should have put something at the beginning of this episode. It's like, if you don't like FF7, fast forward 3 hours into this podcast.
um, so kind of on the Square Enix topic. So just some catch up for. I was asking you about Crisis Core last
Mm,
time to catch me up on some of that. So
yep.
I have one today to talk about. So I actually just finished it. I didn't realize I was this far in, but I looked. I was like, yeah, okay, I was like 32 hours into this game. Forspoken.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I just finished that yesterday.
I saw
Um,
you playing it the last couple of times you've been logged on. So yeah, and
yeah.
that's a Square Enix game, eh?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Um, so ever since I think they showed that in the PS5 like showcase, the first one they did. Um and they showed like some story trailers and stuff, and it was like the story was never the thing that like grabbed my attention as much. I like the main character, and I kind of like that she's. I usually like a what do you call it? A hero that doesn't want to be like a reluctant hero kind of
Sure.
character. I do
The responsibility thrust upon him kind
right,
of
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. I tend to like those kinds of characters if they're done well, and I do actually really like the main character, Frey, of the game. But the story was just never a thing that I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see how this shakes out. So um, I could barely tell you what the story's even about because I honestly wasn't paying a ton of attention. It's a very like Alice in Wonderland kind of situation.
yeah,
Um, but every time I saw that game in trailers or whatever, it's just like I want to play this. I want
yeah,
to
yeah.
like see if they're overhyping how crazy the magic is because it looks like you can do a bunch of crazy shit, and I'm like, there's no way. Like these have got to be like cutscenes or like, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
so playing it's like no, everything I saw in like any of those, like you can do all of that stuff.
Awesome.
It's pretty complicated, or like I should say it's like nuanced.
Okay.
And once I learned like you know like just how to do the thing that I want to do, if that makes sense. Um, it's very like controlled chaos. Like it looks insane, but it's like I know exactly what I'm doing now when I'm trying to do all these spells, and it is like it's like such a good like power fantasy game where you're just like there's games where you're like throwing fireballs or whatever. This game like
Yeah.
you are like erupting like a mini volcano at it's when you like level that thing all the way, and it looks insane, like just
Oh, nice.
graphically looks insane, and just super satisfying. But the thing I thought about because we were talking about these games last time, uh the movement. So she's really good at like parkour in like her real life or whatever,
Okay.
like before she's here. And I think it's like she has like some wind spell like imbued in her shoes when she's in
Yeah.
this fantasy world. So
Okay.
she's like using her parkour skills to just like zip around and like run up walls and backflips and cartwheels and all this stuff. It really reminded me once you unlock a couple of the movement options to like keep it like the momentum going, it reminded me a lot of like Spider-Man movement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And just the way it's like, precise timing gives you like, like smoother movement and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It also has a ton of very satisfying procrastinations on the map.
Okay, yeah,
It's just
nice.
like
Perfect.
it, and because it's so fun to move and so fun to fight things, it's like, oh, there's this abandoned fort. You want me to go kill every you know demon thing in there?
Perfect.
With
Yes,
pleasure.
sign me up. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
let me
that
try out this new spell.
that's Spider-Man for sure. Just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I need," it's like, "I've got 17 buildings I need to defeat all these mob bosses." Cool. Screw
Yeah.
the main story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just went, and there's just like these little, like mana drops or something all throughout, and you use those to level your spells up. So it's really fun to just not beeline. Like you'll be going, and they're easy to spot, so you're just kind of weaving back and forth, like picking up these things, and you
Yeah.
get like this flame whip thing where there's like little outcrops on mountains where you can like either throw yourself up, or some of them are like longer and like sort of narrow, and you like whip them and like go around them and like launch forward. It's just like
Nice.
it's so crazy. But my god, it's fun. And so two things. So I played the demo. The demo came out in like January, and I was like, because I was gonna buy it day one, but
Yeah.
I was like, the demo was just like, it just wasn't, didn't feel great for me yet. And I was like, okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna pick it up right away. Two things I found. I don't remember if I read this or I saw it on a like a podcast or something, but two settings. If anyone is playing this game and is annoyed by this, so like the weapon wheel thing, like in Horizon and in like almost any
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
third person action game.
Yeah.
So you have that for like your main attacks, of which each school of magic only I think has three. So it's like and they're pretty unique, like when you should use them. Like there's pretty situational, so you're not constantly switching back and back and back and back. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, guys at range, I'm gonna do like the long range move, or guys at close, whatever. Um, but each school has like 9 or 10 different like support skills, which are a little more like utility or just like a special like cast on a cooldown or things like that. And switching those all the time was so, it just brought everything like to a screaming halt for me.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
it's like, it's just like, so then I just didn't use them, but I was like, but I like, they're actually really useful skills. So it's like, it was this weird thing I couldn't. And so you have like a magic like armband or something that's like giving you these powers, and it
Yeah.
talks to you, which is fine. It's like the, any kind of sidekick sort of character dynamic, but
Yeah.
they definitely were going for like the MCU level like wisecracks, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, shut up. Like
Yeah, yeah,
at a
yeah, I know.
point it's like I don't need to hear this joke every time I kill something.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are two things that turned me off a little bit on the demo side. So two settings that I don't know if these were added after the demo or I just didn't see them. I wouldn't know to look for them. There's literally a like something something chatter setting, minimal. You can turn it all the way down to minimal, so he'll just talk
Mm.
about when there's like, usually it's mostly like, oh, if it's like a point of interest that he want, it's not like no jokes. It's like turning the jokes down.
Yeah, that's amazing. A chatter slide bar.
Yeah.
I want 40% chatter. Well,
Yeah.
20% wisecracking to 30% banter.
Yeah, yeah. So I turned that down, and that made it way more enjoyable. Um, then there's a button or a setting that's like, so those support skills where you have like 10 or not, 9 or 10 of different ones. It will just auto switch when you use one. It'll go to one that's ready because they're all on cooldowns. So it's more reacting to the one that you have selected, like how to use
Oh, it's
it.
changed. Which one do I have now? Yeah,
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 so
yeah.
you don't have
Yeah.
to slow down and pick it. You can still bring up the wheel if you need a specific one to like heal yourself or something.
Yeah, yeah, but it's
But
not yeah, it's kind of like I have to pick it's like I wish it would just give me something. I don't care what I pick. It's annoying that I have to pick something.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what it does. It just picks one that's available
Yeah,
at
yeah.
random. And I actually, the more I thought about it, I was like, that actually makes a lot more sense to me narratively, because like she barely knows what she's doing for the
Yeah,
first half
yeah,
of the
yeah.
game. So it's more like her remembering, oh, I have this spell, like let me try this, versus like, like I know every spell that I
Something.
can do in every situation. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this spell, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like canonically, that's how I like, I'm at, like that's how she was acting in my playthrough. It's just like, I think I can do this spell now or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it actually kind of added to the sort of improvised nature of someone who's like just learning to do all this stuff, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
So anyway, yeah, I finished it. I looked at the platinum. I don't know if I'm gonna go for it because it is a little grindy, I think. But I'm definitely still gonna play the game and like uncover more of that map, because it is just super fun to, just rush around and do all these crazy acrobatics. Even when you're
It's
like attacking, like one of them is like a machine gun, but it's like rocks that you're like, they're like floating around your arm and you're just like shooting them out. And
yeah.
she'll like do a backflip and like whip one at them, or like cartwheel and like throw one underneath. And it's just like the animations are like top notch. It's really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it's funny. There are a few games where like it's like, okay, I got the platinum on this, got them on got the platinum on that, and it's like this is my version of the platinum.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I didn't get level 99 on every state. Like it's just like, okay, I don't care that much.
Yeah.
FF7 remake or something like that. Like, okay, well, of course you have to, but
Yeah.
thankfully there are a lot of the
those
games
were
that I really
those were
those are
easy to do,
obtainable
or
platinums,
obtainable. Yeah, yeah.
not like um just like some platinums you're just like, okay, seriously.
Yeah, yeah. Read
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like I'm not doing that.
yeah, yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way I'm doing that thing.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, that game is hella fun. at some point when it goes on sale or whatever, I would definitely, for you specifically, I would keep an eye because it is got a very fun map. The only thing, it is a very slow start. It takes like
Okay.
probably 2 hours, maybe a little more, before it really lets you just run loose. You only have like one school of magic at that point, but it at least lets you like, all right, go. The objective is over there. Just make your way over there,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
your own pace, kind of thing.
Cool.
And then it definitely got a lot more fun from there forward. But I get like the to set up a narrative where you're like this person from New York that gets sucked into this like fantasy world. It's like
Yeah.
you can't do that in like 5 minutes. I get it. Like I
You need
understand
some
why.
exposition there.
Right. Yeah. You need some connective tissue between point A and point B.
Yeah.
But it's probably just
That,
because, like I
that's
said,
a hard that's a hard beeline. You got to
yeah,
walk around a bit. Yeah.
yeah, and it's probably because, like I said, that was not one that I was like pulled in by the story, so it felt longer to me because I'm like, I just want to start throwing spells at people.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the movement and combat is super fun. So I had a lot of fun playing that game, and yeah, it was very impressive visually. Those spell effects are wild. Like
Nice.
it is
That's awesome.
impressive and makes
Cool.
me very excited for FF16 because I know that game's combat is going to be out of control. So
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I'll keep a note.
yeah. Um, okay, so let's just take a super quick break and then we'll jump into the sort of remaster remake talk because I got a lot to say about Resident Evil 4. And
Nice,
we're
cool.
gonna
And
get
I'm
to it.
excited because I have not played OG Resident Evil 4.
Ever?
And no, no.
Oh wow, okay.
Um, and so and I've just like you were just like, oh man, this is anyway. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. We'll
Cool.
get into it.
See you in a sec.
Yep. Okay, welcome back everybody. So yeah, so just super quick. Well, Matt, I guess we because now that you actually are back home, you've had a little more time with Crisis Core. So I gave my catch up. So I guess if you have something for Crisis Core 2 you want to catch us up to speed on.
Yeah, totally. So nowhere near as like halfway through or mostly through a whole game
Yeah,
like you're.
you've been back home for like 2 days. Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about it.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
No, so I kind of able to get back into it, and it was funny. Like the first I feel like 6 chapters or whatever. It's kind of okay, a lot of the NGL stuff and yada yada yada. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, just give me my Buster Sword and let's get let's get into the FF7 lore. Like, get me to Nibelheim.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it's funny because it's like all the Midgar stuff. It's like, yeah, I've seen this remade before. Like,
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, like we've
yeah,
seen what this looks like in like HD and stuff now.
yeah, Mako reactor. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I've been there. So and it was really fun, and I really like the combat, although different from F7 remake. Anyway, I've been getting pretty good at it, and I've been
Yep.
enjoying it, and kind of the system, the different materia system and stuff has been fun.
Yeah.
Um, and so I kind of pumped through a bunch yesterday, and like so now I'm at the Nibelheim flashback.
Okay.
And it's just like, whoa, okay, I've like kind of now it's like goosebumpy territory
Yes.
because it's like this is Nibelheim, Mount Nibel, like all that in full on remake HD, and it's just like I find myself like cruise around, look around.
Yeah. So
Just
I
like,
did the exact. It like hit me. I was like, wait, if everything in Midgar looks like it did in 7 Remake, then everything I'm seeing now is probably what it's going to look like in 7 Rebirth. Like,
yeah,
and so it's just like, I'm like looking into the future here right
uh,
now. It's like the
like
feeling I had.
and just like Mount Nibel with like live stream,
Yeah.
Steam coming up, and I was just like, whoa, okay, hold on. Like, Matt, you've just been like cruising through this.
Yeah.
Like, let's stop running and let's enjoy the ride here.
Yeah.
So
There
anyway,
was a point when I was talking to you about Crisis Core. Like this was, I think, before the podcast. I think we were talking over Christmas,
yeah,
and I was like, "How little do you want me to say about Crisis Core?" And you're like, "Don't say anything." And I was like, "Okay," because
yeah,
one of the things was I was literally wrote down was like it's like a preview of when we're gonna see that flashback in Rebirth.
yeah, no,
Because of all the models and stuff are largely the same, and
and
there's no way they would put the amount of work they did into making that look as good as it is for just this game.
Crisis
Like,
Core, yeah, it's they're demoing
yes,
what their hard work, and it's kind of funny. Up until now, it's been kind of like, okay, this is Crisis Core PSP version on steroids, and
yeah,
now it's kind of like trailer for Rebirth.
it feels like it. Yeah,
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 it's just kind of like, hey, we already have all these models for Rebirth. Let's just shove it in there.
yeah,
Like it would be more work to redo some PSP stuff, like just literally use the Rebirth.
yeah. There's
Um,
definitely some collaborating that went on there. I feel for
yeah. Oh,
modeling that stuff.
collaboration slash overlap
Yeah, yeah.
slash stealing. So anyways, it's just been like, whoa, okay,
Did you
now we're
get to?
talking.
So you've seen Tifa
Yeah,
in
yeah,
her
exactly.
like cowboy outfit or whatever. Yeah,
Cowboy
yeah,
Tifa,
yeah,
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 exactly. And oh, and it's just awesome. It's just like Cloud's right there. You get an you get an email from her where she's like, "Are there any blonde guys
yeah.
in Soldier?" Um,
Yeah.
and then it's funny, like in my job, I get a million emails, and in that flashback, I'm getting email. I get another email from Tifa that's just like, actually, don't tell any of the guys at Soldier that I was looking for a blonde guy. And I'm just like, okay, enough emails. Like like, I'm getting like real life, you know, like trauma. Like I get enough emails in my own goddamn
Yeah.
job. Can I at least go cruise around Mount Nibel, please, without two emails from the same person? Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, so yeah, Cowboy Tifa, um, Cloud, and just Nibelheim itself. Like
Yeah.
it's like I know exactly where the Shinra mansion is. I
Yeah.
know, like it's just because I know the overhead view, and
That angle
now,
from the pre-rendered one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and anyway, I always get goosebumps at the water tower, like just because that scene in remake, like
Yeah,
the
the
flashback,
flashback. Yeah, yeah.
is just so powerful, and anyway, I loved it, and
Y-
so and
You're into the juicy part now, which is it's
yeah,
like tickling you for FF7 Rebirth at this point.
Sephiroth like losing his mind in the library,
Yeah.
and anyway, it's just like, okay, now we're into it. So
Yeah.
but it's really cool because it's like, and then like, again, spoiler alert, people know we're going to talk about FF7
Yeah, yeah.
stuff here. So anyway, if you're past 1997, it's the statute of limitations is over here.
Yeah.
Um, like when he burns down the town, and it's the classic Sephiroth with the fire kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so like I just got that scene,
Okay.
and it's just like, oh, that is like, I remember seeing that for the first time in OG7.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but like we, like you were playing it at the same time as me, different files or something. I can't quite remember how we each went through that game when I first got it.
I feel
But it was
like
something,
you went through probably most of it first because it
yeah,
was your game, your PlayStation. Like
fair.
I wouldn't have taken that from you or anything.
But I remember like going through that like flashback, and then like that, like it was like a Saturday morning, and we had like jujitsu at like 11 or something, and
Sure.
like that scene happened, and then it was just like, how can I do anything right now? And it's like, come on, we gotta go. Just like, I have to find a save point and like leave this. I'm just like, what is happening? And like that like scene, and because that was on the trailer, like and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
like that, and it's just like, holy crap. And now I'm like going through Crisis Core, like, yeah, and now it's like, whoa, Rebirth kind of preview,
Yeah.
Sephiroth and the fire. I'm just kind of like, whoa, oh man, now I gotta go do a podcast. Like, Garrett, come on. Like that
Oh,
was
you
literally
just
like
got there?
just happened. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like, can we do a podcast now? I was like, but yeah, sure. So anyways, no, I was like, I wanted to gush over that with
Yeah.
you. So
I think
so
when I got to that point, I think Mike had come down to like just tell me something, and he was there. He came and started talking. And I was just like, I
yeah.
was like, wait, just wait and wait for that scene. And he, he saw it and was like, "Ah, I need to buy this game or
Yeah.
something. I think he did actually end up getting it.
And
Um,
the the kind of cutscenes are just seem a little bit more tight and
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
it feels like, and maybe it's a placebo effect, but it definitely feels like there's a little more like touch ups to the cutscenes in that era, because I they gotta know, like, we're looking at this being like, hey, we're coming back here soon. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
in the next like year or so, we're gonna be getting back there. So,
Yep. So,
um,
anyways, that was kind of a same kind of just like whoa, all over again. Like just this scene is amazing. So,
y-
and it's funny. Like you're walking around and like there's notes from like the research guy that as soon as Zach breaks out of the tube, he punches out like just like
right.
the Hojo's assistant or whatever. There's all these like diary entries, and it's like no, no, no. I need to read all of these. Like this is important lore.
Yeah.
Whereas in any other game, you're like yeah, yeah,
Nah,
yeah, okay,
whatever.
sure, whatever.
Just
Yeah, I
clear it
think
off the mini map or something.
it's like I think I got them all. I missed two. Who cares? Whatever. Like no, no, no. I got one and then three. Where's number two?
Yeah.
This is important lore that I need to know. So,
Yeah.
anyway, it's been awesome. So I'm happy to
Cool.
get back into it.
Yeah. And like I said, you're into the juicy part now. So
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
exciting.
So
Um,
cool. But
so
yeah,
yeah,
RE4.
yeah, we'll catch back up on Crisis Core when you finish it.
Yeah,
So yeah, we'll talk. I did want to give us a little shout out to Metroid Prime Remaster, because I did finish that as well
nice.
before I jump into RE4. Uh, that game literally is setting a standard for me for what a remaster should be, because
Nice.
it is. And when we're talking remaster, it's like the same skeleton is there. It is original Metroid Prime, but it's just everything visually has been overhauled,
Yeah,
and it just like gave me such a better appreciation for like the differences in atmosphere in like the different areas you go, like
mm,
like the even like the lava areas, like the magmore it's like
yeah,
just like that like heat sort of like not well kind of steam or whatever like coming up, and just those like volumetric like sort of like smoke effects and
yeah,
everything. um and they like redid the it's like when you shoot something in a dark room, you can like see her face
yeah,
reflection
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. Like they just touched up all of that stuff to like look better. um and a much better appreciation for the enemy design, because they all just kind of look like whatever polygon, like yeah, okay, sure, that's a
yeah.
sky pirate or a space pirate, whatever.
Right, right.
And I think I mentioned like one of the bosses was like, oh, it's not just a glowing blue weak point, it's phazon corruption. That
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
way more sense
yeah,
now. So yeah, it's just like, and now and they also like did a perfect way to redo the controls, to make it more like a modern first person shooter option. But then
yeah,
if you want to just play it like it played on the GameCube controller, you can do that. And you can change a bunch of random button swaps or just like different little mechanics. It's like on GameCube controller, you only could free look when you're holding the R
yeah,
button.
yeah,
So because of that, when you're doing jumps, the camera would automatically kind of look down a little bit as you're
mm,
jumping to like help you.
yeah,
And it's like if you turn on the twin stick like mode where you have free look over that,
yeah.
uh it automatically turns that off, because it actually is really like, no,
That'd be annoying.
don't look, yeah.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can
yeah,
turn it back on if you want, but it's like yeah, it's just, it's so clearly something that they like play tested for like an extended period of time to like make sure the controls make sense. They didn't
yeah, yeah,
just copy paste them or whatever, right? So yeah, just, and it's funny because the reason I want to talk about it too is like Metroid Prime and Resident Evil 4 both came out on GameCube originally, not that far apart from each other, I don't think.
right. I
Uh,
forgot RE4. You talked about this last time.
it was
Capcom
some
had some
deal they
sort of
had,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's like someone, I saw a tweet that was like checks Metacritic scores or something, and it's like Metroid Prime 95 out of 100,
Yeah,
Resident Evil 4 99 out of 100, and it's like checks calendar.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Exactly.
wait, it's not
What
2006 or whatever that was.
did I go back in time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just like it speaks to like what we were saying earlier. It's like, yeah, there's something special about those games because the limitations they had, they just had to get creative in other ways. And they people didn't take the lazy route of like, put some microtransactions in there and battle passes and whatever. Like it
Yeah.
was like 100% like creativity that went
That
put into
actually,
those.
yeah, no, that's a good point, and articulated really well. Is that like it was to a point that companies felt that okay, the technology is good enough that I can flex a little bit on story,
Yeah,
and like, oh, but it's a little clunky, so I better flex real hard so that the story is so good that people will be okay with the kind of stupid nuances of the fact that it's closer to reality, but not quite. So
yeah,
suspend disbelief a little bit. So they
right.
really needed to get good writing, and the source material is so
And
good for remakes. Yeah.
and even Metroid Prime, it's like there's not a lot of narrative storytelling. Like
Mm.
there's no exposition being shouted at you. It's
No, no.
all environmental
Yeah.
storytelling, and
Well,
because like the coat of paint is so much nicer, it's like you get a lot more out of just
of
visually
that.
like the storytelling elements of that game.
I was gonna say like, oh, in the remake, do they have a chatter slider that you can up or down? And it's like
Yeah.
I don't think Samus says a single word in that game
No.
except a grunt or two, kind of thing. So,
I think
um,
the first time you ever hear her actually speak a word. Oh no, other M. She talks a lot in that one. I was gonna say Metroid
sure.
Dread, but anyway, yeah, she doesn't talk much. She doesn't talk at all in Prime.
Not much of
Um,
a career in voice acting for Samus sound alike. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was definitely a side gig to just keep paying the bills for
mm.
whoever had to do all those excerpts.
Samus, not too chatty.
Yeah, exactly. Um, okay, so yeah, man, Resident Evil 4. My God, so it is like it shows up on like so many best games of all time lists.
Man, I have to
Um,
play this.
and well, and I think it would have been. It was
I think I was
probably
in
when.
university.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say this is probably when you were already gone to Mount A.
yeah.
I'll look up the actual date later, but
I mean, if it was GameCube was when I was,
you were pretty much out.
getting out of gaming before I get
Yeah,
sucked back in.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it shows up on it, and because so it also so it was the first Resident Evil to go third person because up until then it was
yeah,
still either fixed camera or at least like top
yeah,
down because like
yeah,
Code Veronica wasn't fixed camera necessarily. Like it did move around a little bit, but it still had that same sort of vibe and tank controls and all that stuff.
yeah.
So it did that. Uh, I think it is the first game that did quick time events in cutscenes where you have
Oh
to like
wow,
press something to
yeah.
dodge or whatever. If it's not the first, it's certainly the one that popularized it.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that.
I'd have to look if that or God of War came out first on PlayStation 2 because I know it did it too, but it's one of those two. But it at least helped popularize it.
Hmm.
Um, and anyway, so it just shows up on so many of these lists because it really took RE in like a different direction.
Hmm.
It's no longer like zombies, but instead it's like this like insect based like plague
Yeah.
that is affecting these like villagers in this like Spanish town or whatever or
Yeah.
Spanish
Is
village.
Umbrella still behind it in some sort of way,
Uh,
uh,
so
or you don't have to say?
unclear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think the remake makes it a little more connection with Umbrella. Um, but it, one of the bosses in the game has a big yellow eye as a weak point. So
Mm,
to me, what I think is like the source of whatever the G virus is sort of being sourced from the same type of you know insect or something.
thing.
It's like
Yeah.
something
Okay.
is
Okay.
similar, right?
I gotcha. Yeah.
That's at least how I'm interpreting it based on what I've played. um and okay, so there's like, God, there's so much good about this game. Now I love RE2 and RE3 remakes for sure. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely loved, and I went through those again. And one thing about RE4 OG is like Leon is such a
Uh,
dweeb in that game.
yeah.
With like the corniest like one-liners and like way over the top, like, Hollywood action star
Mm.
things. And they just kept enough of it to like that you're
Uh,
glad they didn't take it
paying
out.
homage.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet it still fits because he is kind of a dork in RE2. He's got some, really silly one liners or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I think even one of the characters who has a history with him makes a joke about, oh, you always got to have the last laugh or last line, or he says something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that is definitely just like part of who he is. And you can suplex people,
Yeah, I
which
remember you
was,
telling me. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, okay, at least I can do at least that one move. And there's times where like you're in a boss fight and you will get like a prompt. Most attacks you can either parry or dodge, and the dodge is a little weird. It's like contextual, so it's like our boss is about to do a move, and you'll get a quick flash, kind of like a QTE of
Yeah.
like to press B to evade. And there's some where like this guy comes out and like sweeps his leg and he like backflips. It's like, okay, whatever, I'm okay with that. Like that makes no sense, but I love it.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do
Uh,
that. It's a quick
can't,
backflip, so it's fine.
it's like I can't argue with the results, but was that really necessary?
Yeah, yeah. So there's just enough of that to like, if you played the OG, you're gonna love that kind of thing. Um, some of the attention to detail in this game is insane. So one of the things I noticed, and I saw some videos of, uh, it showed like him shooting his handgun, and like he has a separate animation for reloading if his clip is empty or if there are still bullets. So he can reload.
Oh,
Like
wow. Cool.
usually he'll like take the clip and not throw it away. Like he just takes it and puts the other one in to
Yeah.
like save the bullets, or otherwise
Yeah.
he'll just drop it if it's empty.
Yeah.
When enemies get close to him, so he normally like holds his pistol out like out in front.
Yeah.
People have been calling it the John Wick stance. If
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
close, he's got it like in and like kind of
Yeah.
crossed, like across his chest. Because I guess that is like what you should do in like a close kind of
Hmm.
encounter situation like that. Uh, Enemies will throw like axes or shoot crossbow bolts at him. Even
Hmm.
if they don't hit you, if they're close to him, he'll just kind of like, just very like subtly, like kind of just move to like away from it or whatever.
Wow.
If some enemy is lighting a dynamite or like a Molotov, you can shoot it in their hand and it will blow up like
Yeah.
like without fail. Um, and there's like this opening encounter in the game. There's a bunch of other stuff, but this is one of the cool ones. It's like right the first big like fight you have where all the villagers are coming after you and stuff. And then you basically just have to hold out until this like bell rings in the church, and they're all like mind controlled more or less, like for sake of a better term. And when they hear that, they're like, oh, they all have to go deal
Oh.
with whatever that is. And so you don't have a sniper at that point in the game yet. Like you get that a little later on. If you new game plus and you have your sniper rifle and you shoot that bell, it will end the encounter.
Oh,
They'll
wow.
all like file away just like I'm pretty sure it's the same cutscene, but it's just because the bell rang.
That's
So
awesome.
like for speed running, I'm sure that will be a thing that will be shown. Because it's that fight is like 5 or 6 minutes of just
Oh,
nonstop.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Awesome.
so yeah,
I
it's
love
just
stuff like that.
cool stuff like that. Uh, so the knife plays a huge role in this game because the OG game did not allow you to like parry. Like that
Okay.
wasn't a thing. It was just like for like trying to attack someone that's down to like make sure they're dead or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like what I love about sort of the evolution by doing these remakes one after another is like RE2 Leon knifing, swinging your knife around. Not only does it break,
Yeah.
well, I guess that this one breaks too, so that's not really a point. But when he's just like just slashing like
Yeah.
wildly in RE2, like and not very effective.
Like
And in
RE2 remake or
remake,
yeah. Yeah.
remake, yeah, because because uh, RE2 is like Leon's first day on the job, like he's a rookie cop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the like knife usage in this game, he's like way more just like stabbing like really fast and like really like more lethal with it.
Yeah.
And it even talks about how he like it shows like a quick clip of him getting like, because he's in like special forces kind of thing now,
Yeah.
and it showed him going through like training, like with knives and stuff, like close
Yeah.
combat
Yeah.
knives. So he's like a professional now, right? And that leads into like his melee abilities during combat. So when you shoot someone and you stagger them in certain ways, you'll get a little icon, and you can run up and like roundhouse kick them, like, and it's not like a silly, like, it's like, no, like that looks like it does
Legit. Yeah.
generally look like an actual, like, a kick that you would do, and not just like flashy for the camera kind of thing. uh
Yeah.
Also, like the most satisfying crunch when you like kill someone with like a roundhouse kick. It sounds so good. um and the what else was I gonna say about that? Oh, so like, yeah, from RE2 with the knife slashing, then RE3 remake, you play as Jill, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's in stars already,
Yeah.
so she's already like professional.
Pretty.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
her knife is like that sort of more quick sort of stabbing, and like
Mhm.
that's sort of what Leon's is more like, which just
Now.
shows like
Yeah.
he's more training and stuff, right? So just neat little attention to detail there. uh
Is it like scary like RE2 remake?
mm,
In a ominous kind of anyway, yeah, what's the
it,
vibe, I guess?
it's definitely not as scary as RE2. I
Mm.
still have a hard time going through that game, like playing for long stretches, because it's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
stressed and scared all the time. It
Yeah.
definitely has moments when you're going into like this dungeon under the castle or whatever, and you're in the
Yeah.
dark, or, and when throughout the chapters of the game, like you do go through like a nighttime section or whatever, and you're going through the woods and, in the dark and stuff. It for sure has moments like that, and a couple moments near the end when you're in like the factory or like military base. um but it's like more action heavy, because the way it does the encounters is like, so like the zombies in RE2, there's like a lot of them, but they're like slow and dumb, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's more about like managing your resources and like
Yep.
taking them out, but you don't, there's like, ammo is few and far
Scarce.
between. It's
Yeah.
scarce, exactly. uh Whereas like Leon's like, he's packing in this game. Like
Yeah.
you got like four or five weapons at the ready. Ammo's not super scarce. Like you can get pretty decent amounts of ammo. But so like the villagers, they're not zombies. Like they are still somewhat intelligent.
Yeah.
They're just, for better lack of a better term, they're just kind of mind controlled.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the AI is very good at like, because like, so I've been playing my second playthrough. My first playthrough, I was like, I'm just playing by myself. I don't want to, I'm not streaming it for anyone. Like I'm just playing to enjoy
Yeah.
it myself. And then my second playthrough, one of my friends, they watched me play through RE2 and RE3 on my like revisits recently. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, now that I've gone through it once, I'll go through it like so that you can watch it and just stream it on Discord. And it was like playing last, was it last night, Friday night? I don't remember when I was doing this. It was yesterday. We were playing, and it was just like, I got like four or five of them in front of me. I'm like, okay, like take that one down, roundhouse kick, blah blah, and then like crossbow bolt hits me, like, damn it, and then the guy comes behind me, grabs me, and another guy's coming at me with a pitchfork, and I'm
Yeah.
dead. I'm just like,
Yeah.
and it's just like it escalates. It can escalate so fast, and it's like claustrophobic is like the term I would use for the combat in that game. It's just because there's even a few points like that first encounter where you just gotta last for a few minutes, and there's a couple of those throughout the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're in this little house and they're busting through the windows. You can like push like a shelf or something in front of that window, but then they're gonna break that one. Then they bring ladders and they're getting in the top floor, so they're like all over you, right?
It's like, yeah, it just gotta last. Yeah.
Yeah, because the combat is way more like versatile with like more weapons um and like the melee like kind of being added in. It's
Yeah.
like you definitely can do it, but it's just, you just are constantly like
Yeah.
checking, like, looking behind you, and like there's just so much chaos. But it also is what makes like every combat encounter just feel like unique and like when I do that fight again, it's gonna go differently. Like it
Yeah.
just depends on the way the enemies react to you and stuff like that. Um, so with the knife, what's really fun about that is like you get a parrying mechanic
Yep.
in this game that was not in the original. And so when an enemy comes at you with either any kind of like a weapon or whatever,
Weapon.
you can if you parry but you don't do it well, you kind of both sort of stagger a little bit, and you
Yeah.
can't really take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you get like a perfect parry, so a guy comes at you with an axe and you like perfect parry, he goes right into like melee like context or whatever. So you're like
Yeah.
parry roundhouse and just
Yeah.
like take that guy out. And then like, sometimes they're on the ground and they're like this like weird virus or like plague thing they have. Well, like even when they die, it'll like reanimate their body and they're like they sound like clickers almost
Yeah. Yeah.
from Last of Us. And if you see one of them on the ground and they start like you can hear it like
Mm,
skittering around in them, and you see their body like seizing, you can go up and just like knife them and like just finish them off. But then like
yeah.
as long people can still get you while you're in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
animation
Yeah.
or whatever. And the knife has durability that you can repair at certain points, like when there's like a merchant that sells you upgrades and stuff.
Hmm.
And you can repair it there. But it's like on a first playthrough, it's pretty expensive to repair that knife. So it's
Oh,
like
well.
it really helps balance out how powerful it is. By it's just another resource, right?
Awesome.
And it all sort of accumulates in there's this boss fight. And this might I don't think it's spoilery because the game is old. I won't say who it is, but there is a boss fight with someone who it really just becomes in the original game it was just like a cutscene with a couple quick time events. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
like they're just knife fighting or whatever. In this game, it's just a boss fight. And it's like, here you go, full control, but you can't use your gun. So it's literally just like knifing, parrying, and dodging
Awesome.
and stuff like that. And it might be my favorite boss fight in that game. It feels
Oh, wow.
so good, like getting those parries and you get. I think I got a achievement for like he does one where he's like 5 swipes in a row, like fancy moves, and you
Yeah.
parry all 5 of them. It puts him into like a stagger state, and you get like this like fucking roundhouse kicks him like, and it's just like you get like an achievement for blocking all 5 hits or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and as soon as it was done, I was just like, I want to fight him again. Like that was so much fun.
That were like call back to our discussion, the Batman stuff, the in Arkham and the Origins one, the fight against Deathstroke, same kind of thing. You need to like parry everything, and it's a
Oh, okay.
really kind of unique fight. And it's like, man, I want to do that again. They just
Yeah.
like there's
Ah,
something very satisfying about parrying perfectly
yeah.
in a something like that.
In like a
That's awesome.
tense situation.
Yeah,
And so there's this guy on YouTube I watched, Maximilian Dude. He has a lot of FF7 coverage. So
I've seen a lot of his stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And he does a lot of fighting game coverage, which I watch a lot of that as well. And um, I was watching his playthrough because he's a big Resident Evil nerd.
okay.
So I was watching his playthrough, and he made a really interesting point that I feel is like it's got to be true for how much sense it makes. It's almost like when they were designing this game, they
Mhm.
were like, okay, first of all, let's fix this fight. Like, let's not make this a cutscene. Let's figure
Yeah,
out how to make this fight like playable and doable. I'm like, oh, okay, how about we just let Leon be really good with a knife and parry and all this stuff? Like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, that was really fun. Let's
that's
make him do that all the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's like, well, that's too powerful. Okay, let's just make his like
Make it break.
durability and make it hard,
Yeah, yeah,
expensive to repair. And then it's like it feels like they worked that out backwards. We're like, man, that knife was fun in that fight we just designed. I want to be able to do that throughout this whole game and then figure out how to make it work from there.
I wish there were more like podcasts or whatever with like game devs to kind of
I
hear the
know.
stories of that kind of stuff. Because I bet you like it'd be interesting to know if it was like, okay, we're making a remake. Oh wow, this was cool. Back to the drawing board, or like
Yeah.
not back to the drawing
But
board,
like,
but
how
like
can I
add
make
this.
this work everywhere else in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game or
Th-
whatever?
some exec is like, this is cool. This will this will sell.
Right.
This will make the game so much better. It, bring it in. It's like, well, how do we figure it out?
Yeah.
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 Well, that would mean we have to like, I don't care. I'm the executive VP. Like,
Well, and I feel like I genuinely feel like I've seen like developer docs and stuff where one of the it's less the execs but more of like the main creator. Like I know
uh,
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I know there were multiple stories of that about like Miyamoto with
yeah,
like a
yeah,
Zelda game. Where like
yeah.
this is fun. Make the whole game feel like this
About
felt.
this. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they just have that sixth sense of like people are gonna love doing this. Like let's make it so they can do this all the time and make that work in a gameplay design.
And it's Miyamoto that's the exact kind of like thing where it's just like the visionary who's just
Yeah.
like, this is fun. Make yeah, and that's exact vague verbiage that he would give.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is fun. Make the whole game feel like this.
Yeah.
He leaves, and then it's like 20 Japanese dudes who are just like, okay.
Yeah, but how?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and then he leaves the room, and it's like, okay, so
Let's
crack
figure this
everything.
out. Yeah.
You heard the man.
Yeah.
And make it happen yesterday. This game comes out in a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Um anyway, so yeah, I was watching his playthrough and he because how much fun he had doing that fight, he's like,
Yeah,
this had to be where the knife came from. Like this is
mechanic.
why this knife
Yeah,
exists in this
yeah,
game as it does. And I just thought
yeah.
that was a really interesting point. And it makes too much sense to not be, to not be the case.
It
Um,
really reminds me of I remember hearing about Larry David talking about when he was writing on when he was behind Seinfeld, and it was just like the writer came up with the word shrinkage,
yeah,
and he's
he's
like,
like, I love
yes,
that word. Say
shrinkage,
it. Say it a lot.
use it a lot, use it,
Yeah.
and then so like they'd have to just expand the rest of the script, like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So it's like, this is funny. Make the whole use it a
Yeah,
lot.
use it. If you think you used it too much, use it again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that. I think that was on the those like inside looks or whatever on the DVDs. I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
exactly,
I'm
yeah,
sure he's told that story, elsewhere, but that's where I
yeah.
remember.
But
His
that
exact way, he's
principle,
like pointing. That's
yeah,
funny. Use that. Use it a lot. Keep
yeah,
using it.
yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
it's just
So
it's someone that just has that vision, right? Where they just like immediately like, yeah, that is how this game needs to play. You got to
and
make this work.
yeah, and that conversation didn't happen at the beginning. It happened
Yeah.
halfway through when they kind of stumbled across something cool or funny or whatever. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, it's not just like, use this from here on in. It's nope. Yeah,
Yeah.
front to beginning. Yeah,
Go
yeah, yeah.
like expand from there. Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I like some of these, like when you get when you hear from game devs, or even like some of these, like I watch where they could talk to video FX, like CG guys on movies and stuff like that, and it's kind of like, it's not linear.
Yeah.
When you're making a movie, or putting in CG for a movie, or making a game, it's not like, okay, let's do
Start at
this,
the
bump it
beginning.
up. But yeah,
Yeah.
make this game. Okay, what are the details? One, two, three. Okay, boom, 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 game. No,
Right.
and then like when you get a job, you realize that nothing's ever linear. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, great. Let's go back to the drawing board and do all of that all over
Yeah.
again, and then collaborate with these people, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, release dates, like release date got pushed. Oh man, why didn't they finish this in time? Well, because they went right back to the
Yeah.
drawing board.
And honestly, that's like why I have more. I don't want to use the word tolerance because it sounds like too negative, but it's like I have more. Maybe I'll call it like
Appreciation.
empathy
Yeah.
when a game I want gets delayed because like okay, like let it cook. Like
Yeah.
I am
Yeah. Don't
fine.
rush it.
Don't rush it. Like it only comes out for the first time once. And it's like if it's because of something like that that happened. So like
Yeah.
example is uh sort of an example I guess is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That came out in like 2017 now. Holy shit. Uh and they did a couple DLCs like add on, like just a little extra story stuff. And then they were working on another DLC and something happened where like, man, this is really cool. I kind of wish we could do more with this
Yep.
thing or this idea or this storyline. And like, I don't know how, like, obviously they're very secretive about that stuff, but it essentially got to that point and they're like, all right, let's make a sequel then. Like, let's
Yep.
take that thing that you really liked about doing this DLC, and let's
Yep.
figure out how to extrapolate that into a full blown sequel. And now that game comes out in like a month and a day or something. Like that's in
Oh
May. So I'm
man.
like, and it's like they announced it in like 2019 that it was that there was a sequel being done, and then we heard like nothing until like last year about it. So it's just
Wow.
like and it's like yeah, every time it wasn't there, I was like, that's fine. Like they're taking their time.
Yep.
Um, in this one, the Breath of the Wild had to work on the Switch and the Wii U because it was like
Uh,
cross gen. So
cross.
it's
Yeah.
like, okay, great, we are unshackled by the Wii U now. Like that's probably why they wanted to go full blown sequel because
Yeah.
we can do a bunch more shit now that we had to scale back on.
Yeah. You
Um,
don't need to kind of please everyone. It's like, no, no, I'll
yeah,
switch now. So yeah.
uncompromised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny too, like working like in a tech industry, it's like you see like I remember Remake was delayed slightly, seven Remake.
like a
Like
couple weeks or something
a
near the
couple of
end.
weeks. And I
Yeah,
remember you and me being like, yep, they're just sorting out a few, like make it perfect. But what I do get concerned is when release dates get pushed and pushed and pushed. It's like
yeah,
that there's a problem there. That's
yes.
a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's
Um,
multiple delays, I get a little more nervous, which is why I like that more, at least more of the devs of the games that I play and like
yeah.
won't announce their date until their game is like nearing completion.
Yeah, with
Um,
in a job where forecasting is important, it's like don't forecast and then update and update and update. It's like, look,
yeah,
talk to me when you're 95%
yeah,
sure.
and
Then if
even updates, I'm fine, but it's
mm,
like don't give me dates. Don't tell me,
mhm,
don't give me a date yet until like you're close
yeah,
to hitting that. Yeah.
yeah, no, exactly. So it's kind of like, oh, we need a little bit of extra time to make this perfect. Yep, that's fine. Delay, 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 delay. It's like,
Something fell
there's
apart.
something weird going on here.
Yeah.
Then you find out, in retrospect, oh yeah, they fired the whole dev team and went from scratch and had to rush it out the door. And it's like, yep, that tracks.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
And so Metroid Prime 4 is in a situation. God, this was like 2 years ago that they came out and said, look, we development wasn't going well. We
yeah,
weren't sure how to make it work. We've got Retro Studios to take it over. They have to start from scratch.
yep,
So and we have not heard a lick about it since
yep,
then, and that's fine.
yep.
Because now
Like,
I know when we hear about it, it's gonna be out in 6 months. Like it's gonna be done.
and that's the thing, right? Like, I get concerned when it's like delay, 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 and then release. But what you're talking about, like delay, 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 press conference, whatever. Like, okay, let's call a spade here. Like,
Yeah.
we could release it right now, and it's going to be a pile of hot garbage.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do that. We're going back to the drawing board. So I respect that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
When it ends up being true, because some
Oh,
devs will do that and then they'll release it and it's still garbage and be like, what?
If you go from hot pile of garbage number one to hot pile of garbage
Yeah.
number two, like
Yeah.
then
But
then
that's also why I'm picky about who I give my money to because um, you know, I used to just buy any game, but now I'm a lot more cognizant of like who's behind the development of this game.
I I
Um,
I remember, like, to that point, I remember being like, oh yeah, Metal Gear Revengeance is awesome, and then you're like, oh, I'm not really big in the on. It's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's made by like I don't know, Platinum Games or something. You're like, oh, Platinum. Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
like
will buy it
like
now.
literally bought it before the end of that sentence. Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
I already
Yeah,
own it. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
And so that kind of comes to like, because I have that sort of, at least that's how I uh, make my decisions for my, game purchasing and stuff. Uh, Final Fantasy 16, I've talked about this more than once, but like it's largely the team that relaunched Final Fantasy 14 because 14
mm,
in its original state was bad. It was
yeah,
real bad, and it's because it was like mismanaged, or I don't know the whole story. I've watched documentaries about it, and there's just a lot of, just stuff didn't work. And the producer said, you know what? Like we could keep just trying to patch it and make it okay and
yeah.
then let it sort of just live on its own, or we can shut it down for like I think it was like 2 years, or maybe it was like
Oh
maybe 2
man,
for
really?
like 2
Wow.
years and just rebuild it and hit the
Yeah.
restart button. And it's like there has never been a better like phoenix rising from the ashes in video games to me as that game for how bad it was. And I played it and I wanted to love it, but it was bad. Like I could not play it for long.
Nice,
um
nice meta use of the word Phoenix,
I know,
and
and
yeah,
even more appropriately that it is Final Fantasy.
yeah.
And
Like a phoenix down rising from the ashes.
yeah, exactly. They literally cast Phoenix on
Yeah.
themselves.
They literally summoned Phoenix at Square Enix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just with like, and like it is, it's like I'm pretty sure it's, I don't remember how many, it's like 20 some million players now or whatever. Like it's
Yeah,
like,
that's the MMO.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I'm
Um, and so it's just like for how good it is now compared to how bad it was then, and it's that guy who's in charge of 16, so
oh
that
nice.
even when they showed 16 at the PS5 launch showcase or whatever, and then didn't hear anything about it until like last year, and they're like, hey, it's coming out, but it's going to be a little longer than you might have thought. It's coming out in a year from now, like next summer. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, Yoshi Pete, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I will buy it as soon as you give me the option to. Like I
yeah,
know it's
yeah.
gonna be quality. And recently, I think it was a couple days ago, I saw that it went what's called like it's gone gold, meaning development's done. And now
Oh,
it's
okay.
just getting
Hmm.
it ready to ship and all any if there's any little last minute things to do or whatever, but like the
Mm.
development of the game is finished, which generally means no delays. Like that.
Yeah,
That
it's kind of now it's a distribution question. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I booked my days off because I'm like, all right, we should be good for these days. I'll be ready for it.
Oh man,
Um,
ugh, I have so much Final Fantasy to get caught up. I feel like I feel like I'm gonna wait for that for the price to come down. Like it's like why buy it if I'm gonna why pay launch price if it's gonna take me like a year to get through.
sure.
I
Yeah.
still have to play like 15 and oh, what was that one uh Final Fantasy one that came out that was kind of like it wasn't a number Chronicles or something.
Crystal Chronicles?
Yeah, not Crystal
No,
Chronicles. Like
that was a GameCube remake or
no, no,
remaster.
no, no. Oh crap, sorry.
Why am I
It
forgetting?
like came out like a year ago. It was a Final Fantasy game, not a numbered one. Um, it had kind of crystals in it. Damn it, sorry.
Why am I not remembering this?
This is terrible
I know I've
podcast.
played it.
Um,
Whatever it is, I know I played it. Type
um,
Zero? No, that's old.
you can edit this. Origins.
Oh
Stranger of
yeah. Oh
Paradise.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. That's more because you played some of Neo, right?
Sorry.
You played
Like,
some of Neo.
is that is that a Final Fantasy?
It's like the Japanese sort of era. I thought you said you were playing that on PlayStation because it was like a PlayStation Plus game where it's like really like punishing combat, and it's like different
Oh,
weapon styles. Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
NIOH Neo.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's that developer and it's that type of game.
So I played the demo of Stranger in Paradise, and I was like,
Okay.
oh man, I really like this. I was like, and I was like buying it, and I was like, don't buy it now for like $80.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play it for like several months. Like buy it when it's $30. Like there's
Yeah.
no, you don't get any bonus points here. So anyways, I'm excited. I've got too much Final Fantasy to get caught up on.
Sure.
Thankfully, I just need more time. I just need more hours in the day.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. I will for sure be able to give you a spoiler free uh review of that game
okay.
when it comes out. I'm sure I'll talk about it on the podcast a little bit, but I'm very cautious of spoilery stuff, so I won't. Uh, you see what happens when I try not to talk about a Final Fantasy game. It's just gonna come out.
Yeah, and yeah, we're both cut from the. It's funny. I tell a lot of my friends like I'm very anti spoiler, and
Yeah.
they're just like, and they're like, Jesus Christ, Matt, like seriously, relax. And I was like, you know who's worse about this? Garrett. And like Garrett will like, I think you posted on Twitter the other day where it was just like, what do you call it, like blackout period or something like
Media blackout.
media blackout where you're
Yeah.
just like he won't even watch the most recent trailer and so I was like so you can shut up like I'm normal spoiler free
If
but no,
someone plays or watches something before me, like, don't even tell me if you liked it. I
yeah,
don't want to know if you liked it.
so I appreciate that because if you were like a lot of my friends are like oh yeah spoilers I don't care I don't like the suspense I want to know and I'll be like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why do you hate life? Why do you hate fun things?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Whenever I'm talking to my friends about a game I'm playing or whatever, I'll start talking like, "Do you care about do you care if I talk
yeah,
about this?" Or spoilers are like, "I don't care." I'm like, "Oh God, what's wrong with you?" Okay, whatever. I'll tell
yeah,
you
yeah.
anyway.
It's just like, oh, fucking idiot. Anyways, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but at least I know. I'm very conscious about it. I always ask, and
Yeah.
then not low key. I medium key judge them for saying that I don't care. It's just like "Yeah, I'm glad I could talk about this, but I don't know why you
But
hate
what the hell's
life.
wrong
But
with you anyway?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, anyway. So
Cool.
yeah, no spoilers, but yes, plenty of Final Fantasy for me to play. Um,
Yeah,
and
and just like kind of to bring that back to just trusting that like development process is like
mm,
knowing that they are running that show on that game. It's like this game is already a 10 out of 10 for me. Like I don't need to
yep,
play it to tell you that I'm going to love every absolute second of that game.
it's like just by whose stamp of approval is on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing to me, like in life in general, where it's just like someone's only as good as their word,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and studios even where they're just like, if I play a bad game from a studio that I really like, I'm just like, why did you think that? Why did you say, "Yup,
Yeah, I know.
send it out"?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, "Whoa, this is a notch, against your credibility here."
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's some
I'm the same
studios
way.
that have a high bar, and you know, and then some that don't. It's just like, oh, they just release crap, and it's just a money grab. So
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And so like knowing um and it's like knowing that who's putting that stamp on is like why I will pre-order like Octopath Traveler 2.
yeah,
I loved every second of that first game. Like every aspect of it. I was like, this is like perfect. And like I saw like the trailer. I was like, okay, it looks like the same game, but just
yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm buying this. Like there's no way I'm not. It's all the same composer. It's like, a lot of the same people making it. It's like, yeah, you don't need to sell me on
I
this
trust
game.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
already buying it, and I loved playing that game too. Like I had no regrets buying that before it came out.
And just in the world of games I like there's so many like Japanese studios of just like, yep, say no more. I know it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Like no worries. Because anyways, it's just like when you have a track record of incredible quality, like look, I'll um it, it,
You get my vote.
innocent until proven guilty kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's just like, yep, this will be amazing. You screw it up, I'll start questioning everything,
Right.
but they know that and they'll put out high quality stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So I guess we could take a quick break and then I'll finish. I still have a couple more things to say about RE4. I don't know where we went on that tangent, but whatever.
Hey, listen, no, I guess it was about remaking games and the business behind it. I
And
feel like,
Final Fantasy found its way in and got us talking. It's fine.
anyways, I
Uh,
feel like that's the disclaimer. That's a constant disclaimer.
okay, yeah, we'll
Cool.
take a super quick break and then we'll finish up with more Resident Evil 4 talk, I guess.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So well, before I was going to continue RE4 talk, but I just saw a post in this Discord I'm in, and I forgot we mentioned fighting games briefly earlier. So they've released for Tekken 8. They released a June trailer. So like, well, we knew like I'm pretty sure she was gonna be in, but maybe she was like a weird boss and you
Sure.
couldn't play her or something. But no, her trailer's out. Uh, and then like
So like in my head, God damn
yeah,
it. Yeah.
and then this morning Asuka trailer. So
Oh
yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, so I'm good. I'm good.
You're
I'm good for
good. God.
Tekken 8.
Shit.
Yeah,
Damn it.
I think the only character of yours we haven't seen yet. I don't think there's a Brian trailer yet, and there's no Horang trailer yet.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
but they
I
still
need
have a ways to go.
I need me some Horong. Horong is my like hard to predict
Yeah,
character that I have. Paul, you see his moves coming a mile away.
he does look a little. I mean, they all look like they're reworked a little bit because the new system. It's called like
Sure.
the Heat system or something,
Okay.
and it's like the game. From what I was reading and some of the things I was watching, it's like it's meant to be to encourage you to play more aggressively and not be worried about being punished as hard for reasons um like the like the little like get up kick you can do when you're on the
Yep.
ground
Yep.
that used to like knock your opponent like down. It
Yeah.
doesn't anymore. It just hits
Mm.
them.
As it hits
And
them.
like
Okay.
the spring kick that you can do to get up,
Yep.
that doesn't knock people over anymore either.
Oh, it
uh
just hurts you. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it just damages you and like stuns you for a sec or whatever, but it doesn't
Mm,
knock you down because then
mm.
that puts you in like a disadvantaged state or whatever, and they don't want people to play too safe because they're too worried about getting hit by stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
meant it's like the developers really want you to like go in, and it's like even they're like heat. Oh god, I don't remember all the terminology, but there's like a certain move where you go like kind of like beast mode a little bit with every
Mm.
character, and like different moves will turn that on, and then like if you hit someone with the move while you're in that state, it does this little like sort of zoom in like rush where your character like immediately runs right up to follow up the attack and stuff.
Oh.
I don't understand it yet because like they've gone over it, but it's like it will make more sense when I can do it with my character and like understand it then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I need to know this in a space that I know well. So
right.
that I will get at launch. So so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
I'll be for sure getting it on PS5 because that's what you'll have it on. I haven't announced if they're doing cross-play yet because like I have friends on that are getting it on PC that I'd want to play with, but I told them I was like, I'm getting it on PS5 either way. So if you want to play with me, you just hope they're gonna make it cross-play. Because
does
like
Mike have a PS5?
he'll be getting it on that too. I'm sure. Yeah, if he
Okay,
gets it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll,
No
I'll
more
tell. I don't think he would care either way, but I'll tell him to make sure he gets it
deal.
for
Awesome.
PlayStation. Yeah,
Hashtag Tekken grip.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's actually easier to do with the PS5 controller because it's bulkier, so it's a better fit on your
Uh,
leg.
yeah, yeah. And it's like I'll need to get a new PS5 controller because that one will get destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah, so quickly.
yeah. And there was some. what's his name? Leroy. I think he's in 7. He's like old
Leroy.
guy with like white hair, dreadlocks or something.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
his trailer dropped too, and Ling Xiaoyu was the other day. Her trailer
Oh,
dropped.
okay.
Um,
Anyway, I'll just like I'll watch them and put bets on Mike's number one character.
sure. Well,
Whole reliable Mokujin.
so far he's had a trailer, so he at least has one of his mains.
Yeah, and it's funny. Jack is one of my favorite dark horses. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna play with somebody random. I can do a lot of damage with Jack if
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and it was like I saw that post. It was April 1st. I was like,
Uh,
this would be a real shitty joke if this
yeah,
is not true.
I almost got fooled by so many things yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
So
awesome.
anyway, yeah,
I'll check
that's
some
it.
of that out.
Asuka and June got their trailer, so I'm happy about that.
God damn it.
But I'm pretty sure I feel like we're still looking at like 2024. I honestly don't think that game's going to be this year.
Oh man,
Yeah,
jeez. Okay,
yeah.
so
Because I
all right,
think
well, I mean,
because I think it
but
was like their what do they call their like Tekken Cup or something? Like their big Tekken tournament that they do like internationally. I think is like it culminates in like January or something. I feel like it ends close to 20, like the end of the year or beginning of next year. And there's no way the new one will be out and they'll be still putting on a tournament for 7. Like, there's
yeah.
just that makes no sense. So it was something like that I think it was Maximilian Dude was talking about it. He had the dates figured out or something that it probably is still next year.
The nice thing, like, I mean, 7 is still like just such an awesome, so like
Yeah,
beautiful game.
I,
Like, yeah.
I booted up Tag 2 this morning. I was like, maybe I'll work on some of those trophies. And I'm just like looking at the ones I don't have. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, I'll just play some 7. And I played some Tag 7
it
this morning.
took some effort to kind of say like, nope, play this. You need to get the platinum on tag 2.
Yeah.
Don't play 7.
The main ones I don't have that I don't. Well, there was like win 10. Was it survival mode or whatever? You have to win
Yeah.
10 in a row. And that's actually like pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then you have to get whatever rank, the crazy high rank. And it's it's like, oh, just play Ghost Battle and you'll get this eventually. I'm like, I've been playing Ghost Battle for like 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how else are you supposed to do it?
Yeah. So
I
remember,
remember,
I don't want to.
I remember that one. Like, I was at like Marauder for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get higher than this. It's impossible. And then it was like, no, I'm gonna play Ghost Battle and I'm gonna spam Paul, down, forward, triangle, and just like do what I can. And it's like, I'm glad I'm not playing against real people because they'd be like, okay, man, like seriously.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and I was like, this is never gonna happen. But it was a day of just like in the basement, food, and like, okay, let's Paul 10-hit combo all day until I can figure this out.
That one is one of the big hurdles. One is like get like I forget, like 15 hit combo or something. Like, okay, I can find a character that can do that. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
The survival one would just be hard, or I just have to pick someone who I can just cheese with.
Yeah.
But then there's like get all the combat things, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
That took a while.
Yeah, I was like, it's not hard. It would just probably take me a day of like grinding. Like it said to do like one of the boss stages for like 5 hours, and you should have enough to buy it. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just put that down. I was like, oh, I'll go to Tekken 7, and then because Street Fighter 6 comes out in June, and I'm getting that because it looks really good. So I was like, like after I did some Tekken, I was like, once I realized like, Tekken's not going to be out for like a year. Like I don't need to like freshen up my Tekken skills right now. So like I reinstalled, Street Fighter 5, and I was like, I'll play some Street Fighter to like remember how that game plays.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna pick that up. I actually, with this pay this week, I already I paid it off, so it's ready
Oh,
to
nice.
go in June. So also, just speaking of all the games coming out this year, uh, I think Insomniac still said Spider-Man 2 is 2023.
Man,
Like
that
it's
I'm
coming out this year.
after we chatted about that last time, I was like, man, that's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's gonna be awesome. I love
Yep.
that game.
So that game is still on track for, and they are one who don't do like crunch culture and stuff, so it shouldn't be like last minute delays to try and like if they've already
Yeah.
said 2023, like I feel pretty confident that it's gonna land. So yeah, it's just the tidal wave of games has started for this
Oh,
year, and it's not gonna stop until like
dangerous.
winter.
I,
Um,
I, um, I have to keep gainfully employed here. Like this is dangerous.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so returning to some RE4 stuff that I wanted to talk about more. Um, so for one, we mentioned like Leon's just he's got the dumb one-liners and stuff that are just like it's like they're holding because you're basically there to rescue the president's daughter. Like that's essentially what you're on that mission for, and so when you're in that first fight and the bell rings and they all kind of wander off, and he said this and so the demo of RE4 remake was actually like almost identical to the demo of RE4 original, where it's
Okay.
just this first encounter and you just do that encounter over and over and over to
Yeah.
see how different it plays every time. And when they're all walking away on the OG, he's like, geez, where's everyone going? Bingo? Because it's a bunch of old people or whatever. And at the end of that encounter, he like word for word says that line, and it's like, all right, they get it.
Yeah, I know
they know which
exactly.
one. They know which lines to keep. And then
Yeah.
like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like some stuff. It's kind of like too much of it will be too much, and it's like, but
Right,
you have to. It's like an homage to the original,
right.
and fan service. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you find out that she's being held in the church. So your operative is like telling you like, yeah, just make your way to the church, and we'll see if we can find her. Blah blah whatever. And he's like, the church, eh? Well, I guess I could use confession anyway, or something. I was like, God damn it, Leon! I just love him so much. Anyway,
um is and again, I don't know the lore of anything post 3,
mhm.
or really post 2, because I forget everything about 3, but like is Ada in 4,
Yes,
or yeah, okay.
yeah.
Because
And her implementation into the story, I think, is a little better in the like they just I think they just like expanded it a little more or just like now they know where the story is going more than just like before.
yeah,
So
yeah.
she has a really cool story implementation in remake. Yeah.
Because she's awesome. I loved her in remake.
Yeah.
And my buddy Robbie has like a huge Resident Evil sleeve, and like Ada is quite prominently
Oh,
featured.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was just like when Ada was in the remake, it was just like, oh shit, goddamn.
Yeah.
Like Ada was awesome.
She's
So
really cool. And she's
yeah.
very cool in this one. Uh and there was some DLC for OG4 where you got to like play the stuff she's doing, I think, while you're doing your thing.
Okay.
Um, I think that's where her story took place. And I think people have like dug in the code or whatever to see like the title of what her DLC might be. Or like
Oh, okay.
people
Hmm.
are like, and they just could just all be rumors, but like it's highly possible that they're gonna add her DLC
Hmm.
because it's very loved. Like a lot of you know a lot of people that played it really liked her side story. And I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't technically DLC before; it was just like you had to beat the game and then you unlocked it to play
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
And then they did a mercenaries mode, which is kind of like a more arcadey, like score attack, like do these encounters and
Oh, okay.
different. I don't think that was on the GameCube version, so I'm not familiar with, or if it was, I didn't play it. But for how fun the combat is, they're releasing that. I think it's like this week or next week is for a free update.
Oh, nice.
So it's
Cool.
just like, yeah, I will love to play that just those combat scenarios over and over again.
Is it PS4 and PS5 or just PS5?
It is both, yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
definitely looks. I don't know how it runs on PS4, but yeah, the
Mm.
PS5 would be the definitive version if if you ever get the game,
Oh,
obviously
yeah,
PS5.
for sure. Yeah.
But it is on both.
More so wondering, yeah, kind of at what point did games kind of just like we talked about with Zelda, where it's like, okay,
Yeah, start
yeah,
leaving. Yeah.
yeah.
It is on PC as well, which is what I bought it on because I have the other ones on PC. But
Mm.
yeah, that one is still cross gen. But we're getting like 16 is Final Fantasy 16 is going to be PS5 only.
Okay.
Final 7 Rebirth is going to be PS5 only
I was
because
about to say,
Intergrade
Intergrade was PS5 only, so it
yeah,
was like, yeah,
which
okay,
I think was good. They like just ripped that band-aid off. It was like,
yep.
yeah, going forward, it's not going to be PS4 anymore. So get
And
over it now.
it's probably it's good because if it was cross integrate and then rebirth was the change, I feel like a lot of people will be angry. And
Yeah.
it's just like, look, you want this DLC, it's PS5. What the crap? It's like, well, it's PS5, so PS rebirth, so you got a couple of years
Yeah.
to
To get
save up in
one.
your piggy bank and get a goddamn PS5. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, RE4 it is cross-gen still, but my God, that game looks good. So it's the same engine. So it's the RE engine is what they call it.
Mhm.
That like 2 and 3 remake did, but they're
Yep.
just making it better every
Yep.
year. And like, I'll actually, I think I can throw that up. I don't know if there's weird copyright stuff with screenshots. I won't put it on the podcast. I'll just send it to you,
Okay.
just so you can see. But like, just like
Sure.
the graphics on like facial animations and facial capture, like it was already like decent in RE2, but it still looked a little video gamey. And like now, it's insane how good this game
Mm.
looks. It's crazy.
There's a
Um,
demo of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'll
I guess
download the
that. Yeah,
demo.
now that you're back home, yeah.
Yep.
It's called like the RE4 chainsaw demo.
Fair.
Yeah, but anyway, you can at least see it in action for sure. It looks so good.
Awesome.
So one of the best changes that I like about it is because you're going to rescue the president's daughter, right? So she is so annoying in the original game. She's such a like snobby bitch, and like if you're climbing a ladder behind her, she's like pervert, and like just like she's just so whiny and like when she gets captured by someone, just Leon, like it's just like the most annoying voice, and you just like hate her, like you like she's just so unlikable in the original, and so I feel like they really wanted to like
Improve on that.
yeah, like really make her, because the remake series is like definitely more like more of a foot in reality and like realistic
Yeah.
tone and stuff. Um, and so yeah, a couple ways that they made her like such a better character in this game. Uh, so there's like constant like really good banter between her, because you once you get to the point you rescue her pretty early on, and then a lot of it is just you
Protecting her
going
kind of thing.
together through multiple chapters, and you get separated once or twice, but for a good chunk of the game she's with you, and just like it, doing like casual banter is got to be like one of the hardest things to do convincingly. And I feel like I will recognize that more now when I see it done well and just like
Yep.
appreciate that. And the banter for like if you like get a headshot like with your sniper from someone far away, she'll react to that. Or there's these little like side quest things where certain areas there's like these blue medallions and you gotta shoot them all. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And she'll, because it's less of a life-threatening situation, she's got like a more lighthearted, like, oh wow, like you got that or something, or just a little more kind of a playful sort of tone.
It's almost like they appreciate that this is a side quest and not
Yeah,
life-threatening.
no rhyme or reason really, like why
Yeah.
Leon's hunting these blue medallions or whatever, but like, and then there's like this mini game that the merchant that upgrades your stuff for you has, and it's like it's kind of like a target practice like type of thing, but like using different guns and different sort of weird scenarios to like try to get high scores and stuff.
Yeah.
And like she's just sitting on this like this counter or whatever, like behind you watching, and she's like commenting like very like lightheartedly about like, oh nice, you got two with one shot or whatever, and
Yeah.
just stuff like that. And it's just like it she's such a more endearing character. And when you first meet her, she's like her voice actor did a really good job of just sounding like super scared and just like
Mm,
really distrustful, and just like she was, so on edge when you asked her to like go up a ladder, and she just like, yeah, okay, like just
mm,
it's hard. I obviously can't give the performance to like give a good example, but it's just she just sounds so like nervous and scared in the beginning, and it has such a better effect than just like bitchy like college girl that's giving you attitude
but
from the
it,
original.
it's funny. I know that like from all the Brianna White stuff I've seen, like voice acting is a hard gig.
Oh yeah,
And she would talk about going to the studio and like doing a line over and over and over in there. And oh, there's a word that she used all the time, but it was just like, nope, that had like there's a hard consonant in it, and it kind of comes off as a little bit, you red line a little bit, like you need it needs to be smoother. And um like Eris voice is slightly different than Brianna White's voice,
right.
and there's like they'd be like, again, 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 try to, and I bet you like for PlayStation it'd be like, you're some annoying teenager and you're in duress, but it's like, oh, blah blah blah. Cool. Next.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this will work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back in the day when it was like they also just didn't have like the caliber of talent to hire
Yeah. Oh,
necessarily.
yeah.
Like,
Totally. Totally.
there's a
Yeah.
bigger pool of people that want these jobs maybe than there was
Mhm.
people fighting for it before. So,
Yeah.
and you get like the higher quality audio recording equipment, so they sound more like real people,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and things
And
like that.
situationally real.
Yeah,
Because it's just kind of like they're recording stuff. And it's kind of like, okay, you got to be kind of scared, but then the game actually comes out. Oh, it's not that kind of scared, but whatever.
right. Yeah,
Like I just picture like there's a Simpsons episode where like Krusty's coming in doing voiceover for a doll, and he's just like does like five, and it like it's like,
does
hey,
like
hey, I'm
five
Krusty.
catchphrases. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, boom. He's in like 5 minutes, leaves, and then they're like, okay, Krusty, we're ready to hit play. So
Yeah.
just a
The-
difference there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, a much more labored approach
Mm,
with these. Um, One of the things that really helps you kind of just feel like protective of her too is like, so it's third person shooter, right? And
yeah.
when you're aiming, so you can have her in like two formations, like one is like stay close to you and one is like spread out, because like friendly fire's on and you will kill her by accident if she runs in front of you when you're trying to save her. um and when you have her on like the like tight formation, like standing right next to you, when you're aiming you can like see her like kind of like cowering like behind you, like really
Yeah.
close or whatever, and just like really like tense and like scared. um just I don't know, it's little details like that that just makes her like way more sympathetic, that you're just like, she was so annoying in the original one, and after like a couple lines when she like compliments you, or like a couple cut scenes where you see her like starting to trust you, or whatever, you're like, I will die for this person. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
protect her with my life.
She's not only a more likable character, it just yeah, this is probably what they meant in that first one where they really kind
Right.
of didn't stick the landing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she actually has a really cool like sort of character arc where like she's like very like timid and nervous or whatever in the beginning, but like as you get further in, when she like sees something that you would normally like, that Leon would like tell her to go, oh, like can you unlock that for me or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
she'd be like, oh, I got it for like like she's more like, she recognizes those things and like says something first, or is more. There's like one point where
Oh,
she gets in like this wrecking ball, like a crane, I guess,
mm,
and like Leon's about to like go in and like break this door, and she's like, it's like, don't worry, I got this or whatever, and like she goes and does it. Then you just have to make sure they don't try and get in,
yeah,
like
yeah,
break. And it's just like I don't know, it's just like it's not like the craziest narrative character arc in all of video game storytelling, but it's honestly enough that you believe
I
the
think
difference from where you start and where you
it helps
finish.
with I find this, I think about this a lot with newer games, the immersion of like, do if they're a really annoying character, it's kind of like I can't like feel like the stakes are high,
Right.
but here it's just like immersion of just like I am Leon and I must protect her with
Yeah.
my life kind of thing, and acting and writing kind of helps do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And now with like the facial capture tech and stuff, that
Mm,
it's like
mm,
that looks like a real person. Like it truly does.
yeah,
And it adds to the tension when you're in those crazy encounters where you like people coming from all angles, and then like if someone gets close to her, they'll like pick her up and start walking away with her, and if she gets too far, it's game over. So you have to like shoot that guy in the leg to
yeah,
get him to drop her, but then like
awesome.
make your way over to her because someone else is gonna and it's just like it adds to that tension like so well when all that stuff's happening. You're just trying to, because then a game will purposefully like separate you. Like, oh, hold this button down so this door stays open so I can go get this thing, and then you can see her through like the window or whatever as
Yeah,
these guys are like coming and. So you're shooting them, and you're shooting the guys like that are attacking you, and you like they do that a few times, and they did that in the original where they split you up and you have to protect her from afar.
but
But
just
man, it's
achieving,
yeah, making
yeah,
it
yeah.
feel like really earned the stress that you get from trying to keep her safe.
It feels like RE2 remake, because yeah, I haven't played 3 yet, but RE2 was more about stress from fear, and this is
Yeah,
like stress from, yeah, chaos or high stakes,
of
stress
like
from stress.
protecting this
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
and that actually kind of fits the evolution of like Leon, where
yeah,
he's a rookie, so he's still scared, not scared, but just like unsure of his abilities or doesn't know what's going on, and so you're afraid of everything, you're because you're in the dark and all these fucking zombies or whatever, and it's just like, and now he's more capable, but he's so worried about keeping her safe that
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
where your stress comes from, is
yeah.
keeping her safe more than anything. He also has Leon also has such good, and I knew you of all people will appreciate this. He's got such Jack Bauer energy,
Yeah, yeah,
and
nice.
it's so well done. There's like a point where uh, you're like tied up in chains, and this like one of the crazed villagers are coming after you or whatever, and he like he can't do anything with his hands, but he like whips it around, like the chain whips it around to
Yeah.
the like around the neck, and like turns around, like lifts his knee, comes down on the chain with his knee, and just it just like
Yeah.
cracks the guy, and it's just like, oh, that was such a cool move.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it just, yeah, I got a real like Jack Bauer sort of sense about him,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is just is so good.
Um, as a very, very mini sidebar, I when I was in Philly, I saw John Wick 4, and it's
Mm,
awesome.
mm.
In the same kind of just like, man, does not give an F about anything.
Sure.
And especially like the first act of that whole thing is in Osaka, so it's just like,
Okay.
oh, sweet, John Wick in Japan. This movie was essentially made for me.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, definitely check it out. It's awesome.
Okay, sure. And I mean, it's not even that much of a sidebar because, like I said, he's got a lot of John Wick style to him. It's I literally wrote down it's like John Wick and Jack Bauer energy
Yeah, and
that he
that's
has.
why it's a sidebar, not a complete
Sure.
180. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So just as you're describing it, I was like, oh man, I'm in the zone, and I know why because I
Yeah.
just saw a John Wick movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, cool.
Um, and one other like kind of last thing is so there's like two big memes out of Resident Evil 1. Um, One I'm sure you've heard. I don't know if you've heard the second.
I'm trying to think of them right now, and again, I'm sure I'll say if you say them right now, I give myself a 50-50 chance of
They
them.
are
Yeah.
both surrounding Jill, if that gives you any hint of to what it
Mm.
is.
Anyway, go for it, and I'll let you know. I'll be
So
honest.
Jill Sandwich is one that you've probably heard, or maybe you haven't.
No, maybe
I guess
not.
you haven't played that as much Resident Evil.
Mm.
Well, that's Resident Evil 1 too. We played a lot of Resident Evil 2,
Yeah, yeah.
but we didn't
But
probably didn't get there
anyway.
because Patrick threw our disc out the window.
Yeah.
Um, and then the
Yeah.
remake of one was GameCube era, so you wouldn't have had much time with that either. So
And I guess it is does the meme incorporate a weird nuance that was incorporated into the GameCube version, or did it kind of get fixed?
it's just a stupid line of dialogue.
Okay, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Was the
Oh
line of
yes,
di
they
yeah,
kept
okay,
it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
The
I like it in RE1, if it was after a crow busts through a window, then Patrick threw the disc out the
Sure.
window. So, uh,
So what the I'll explain both of them because they're just funny anyway.
yeah,
But uh, there's one where you're like trapped in a room where like the ceiling is coming down,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I forget. Is it Barry? Is that who's with you? I forget who it is. I
yeah,
think it's Barry. Anyway, he like opens the door and you come out, and he's
yeah.
just like, "Oh, that was close. You were almost a Jill sandwich." It's like the dialogue from OG Resident Evil, and it was just so because that
Classic.
game
Yeah.
was like full ham.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anyway, that's just one of the memes that doesn't
Okay,
apply in RE4 necessarily, but the other one is one of the characters gives you a lockpick. If
okay.
you're Jill, I don't know if you get it if you play as Chris, but you for sure get it as Jill, and it's like I don't remember the exact line, but it's something like, "Oh, well, here you can take this. I'm sure you, Jill, the master of unlocking, can figure this out," or something like that. It's just so
Just
dumb.
like exposition dialed to 20. Yeah, yeah,
So there's one point near the end of RE4 because a lot of things you need to get Ashley's help with is like there's a little like opening in the wall and there's a locked door that you can't get and you like boost her up into that and get around and unlock the door for you or whatever. Like that happens, a number of times.
yeah.
And near the end, she goes and she's like, "Oh, I got it. Like I'll get that for you," whatever, and goes and opens it. And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And she's just like, "Yeah, I guess I'm kind of a master of unlocking or something." And I was like, "Oh yeah, they did it."
Nice.
They brought that joke
All
back.
the fans just like, yay!
Yeah, when I was watching Max's playthrough, he was like, "That was very cute." It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
immediately knew what they were doing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but anyway, it's just like to take that's probably the best improvement on the remake for me is, um, and the boss fights are way cooler in the remake, but also just how they made Ashley like not an annoying part of the game. It's like it's stressful trying to keep her safe, but it's like you're doing that because you don't want her to, you don't want harm to come to her. Like it's like that stress is because of how endearing they made her this time.
It's like
Um,
um Joel Last of Us stress, like
yes,
protection. Yeah,
actually, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Actually, that's a good comparison. Yeah, it's
yeah,
very much that same kind of the same kind of stress you get from that.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, absolutely love that game start to finish, and it was like literally beat the game. Oh, if you can start load from this file to start New Game Plus. I was like,
New Game
I will
Plus.
do that now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Let's start right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, it's just there's just enough like side stuff and like there's like money drops that for upgrades and like treasures you can find to sell and get money and side questing things and it's just like the perfect amount of like distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, it's so great. I really really loved like I will be playing that game like so I'm gonna play through that game so many times. Like it's
Oh,
just
awesome.
the combat is so much fun every single time you have an encounter. There's like two or three parts that I don't look forward to getting to, with some creepy monsters and stressful, Mr. X type situations where it's like you gotta just run. You can't fight this thing yet.
Yeah.
Um, and not nothing too hard for puzzles. There were no puzzles that I was like stumped on. The only one that I was like kind of not sure and couldn't figure out was because it was like 4 in the morning Friday night, and I was like,
Maybe I'm just
I
tired.
think I just, and then I went to bed, I got up, like launched the game.
Uh,
5 seconds, I was like,
yeah.
there it is. It's just like, okay, I was just tired.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I
Yeah,
just need to sleep. Yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
anyway, yeah,
all right.
definitely check out the demo because it is it is worth. It's only like 10-15 minutes long. Like it's not a long demo at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But God, it's just such a good game. I'm really, and it's like we live in an age where like, and I think Maximilian dude said the same thing where it's like there is literally no way that Square Enix and Capcom could have made these remakes of like 7 remake and RE4. There is no way they should have worked
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like as good as like the expectation and like for how good their original games
Expectation
are.
was here and achievement was
Yeah,
even
like
up. Yeah.
by all statistical like probability, they should have been not as good as they were for how much was riding on that. And like both of these games is like, how did you do this? Like,
Yeah.
it is insane how well they executed, and that's why I just thought talking about 7 remake all the time, like this is just a good kind of other half of that conversation because like it was in the same spot. Like
Yep.
RE4 is genuinely looked at as like one of the best games ever made, and it's just like how did they remake it? And I see no reason personally. I know some people will do this, but I'll never play the original again. Like there's no need for me to go back and play the other version now. This
Yep.
for me did everything better.
It's kind of one of those like it's like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna again just with FF7, it's like I'm gonna remake FF7, and it's like your funeral. Like
Yeah,
that fan base is so rabid. It's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna remake RE4. It's like, okay, but you know what you're up against,
right.
right? Like, and it's like, and then like, the result, and it's just like, yep, it's just like said it
Yeah.
couldn't be done, but yeah, yeah.
And like
Um,
some of the concern came from so RE2 was phenomenal. Like that was
yeah,
another one that was like, wow, that blew everyone's expectations for how good they stayed true to the original but improved on it. Um RE3 is divisive. A lot of people
yeah,
did not like RE3 as much, and it was handled, I believe, outside of like it wasn't the main internal team that did that game
yeah.
because they like cut some stuff. Nemesis was kind of neutered in that one compared to the original. Like he just didn't
Mm.
feel as threatening. So like people were worried, like which
About
version of
4.
4 are we getting? Are we getting the
Yeah, yeah, the
RE2
2 or the
version or the
3.
3?
Yeah.
And but yeah, they clearly like put so much care. And then it's like the meme is like, all right, which one are you remaking next? Because like
Yeah.
I would love to, and I say this jokingly, but like I would love to play RE1 in this style. Like,
In this, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we have a new Jill model now from
Yeah.
3. I would love to play as
Just
that version
port
of
that into
Jill.
1. Yeah.
Yeah, because the people are saying either there's Code Veronica because we have a new version of Claire now, right, from RE2.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's when I never played. And RE1 with the new version, new model of Jill, because those are still not third person. Like those are still like static camera kind of, and it's just like I can't play RE that way anymore. Like I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah,
like
yeah.
it is third person to me now. So yeah, people are joking like, which one are you gonna remake next? I'm like, I'll take either of those. Like I will play whichever of those two you want to remake. Um, but it'll probably be Resident Evil 9 next because they've been going like remake. They went 7, then remake 2. I guess remake 3 came out shortly after, but it was outside development, and then Resident Evil 8, and now Resident Evil 4. So
Oh
4 is
man,
out
so
now.
you think
The,
it'll be RE9,
I think
but
so.
okay. Yeah.
Before they
Yeah.
do another remake.
Man, I love it too. Like people, I know that there's like kind of a little bit of a negative stigma around like remaking movies and stuff like that. And it's just like, man, remake this game and then remake it again in 20 years. Like,
I
whatever.
know.
Like, seriously, just keep doing it. I don't care. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, oh, it's a nostalgia crush. Nostalgia crutch. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Take my
Yeah.
money now,
Uh,
please, and
there's
give me
something
that
that
nostalgia.
there's something that's just like, oh, the reason nostalgia sells is because it reminds you of a time when you were genuinely happy. And it's like,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take my $80
Yeah. Yeah. Take my
and give me
$80
that.
to revisit pure happiness, please. Like, yeah, easy. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll be excited. I haven't played 7 and 8 because they're first person, and I can't do the and they are
Yeah, yeah,
pretty scary.
yeah,
At least parts of 8 are scary, but a lot of 7 is scary. And I can't do first person scary games. But I've
yeah. That's
watched
fair.
full playthroughs, so I'm up on all the story of 7 and 8. And I'll
Yeah.
probably do the same with 9. Although they said they're not continuing that person's story in 8, so I don't know what they're going to do if they do 9. Maybe they will do a remake next, because 9 won't just be a direct sequel of what just happened. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but just remake 1.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
I want to play 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that style. Uh, I would be happy with that. I would like Code Veronica too, because I do really like Claire, and that's like all. I think that game is all her pretty much.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So, but anyway, um, so yeah, that pretty much covers it for the remake talk. I was gonna try to do like a silly little game at the end of this, but I
Yeah,
chose not to for a dumb reason. So I was going so on Steam there are user reviews,
yeah.
and people get real funny with their user reviews. Like they just write really dumb like memes. They're literally the review of like RE4 remake. One of them was like he wrote like uh, it was like you know 50 line like paragraph of
Mm.
all the scenarios where you can no longer see her white panties anymore because she wears like a different outfit or something. It's like, well, in this scene you can't see them anymore. In this whatever, when you get this, and like it was clearly like a joke, like it was
Yeah, yeah,
very, but it's like people that leave these Steam reviews will do stuff like that. There's like dumb,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
among normal reviews. And I was gonna go and look for like Final Fantasy reviews
Mm.
on Steam because a lot of Final Fantasy games are on Steam on PC now, and
Yeah.
find these really dumb meme reviews and try to
Okay.
get you to guess which Final
Which game?
Fantasy it is.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
as I started going through it, I had in order to find those, I have to like kind of briefly look at them all,
yeah.
and I
You
was
just got
look
angry.
I yeah. Yes. I was watching people complain about 7 remake and well, oh, it's we only get like a half a game. Tell me when the game's finished or whatever. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just like, you know what? I can't deal with this kind of negativity in my life.
Like I can't sit here and feel like I want to argue with everyone. And it's like full disclosure, I tell all my friends, I know I am super biased for Final Fantasy. Do not take what I say, or take what I say about them sometimes with a grain of salt because I know I will just gush about them whether or not it's deserved. But it's
Yeah,
like because of that, I do not want to read these people that didn't understand that this game was episodic. Like they
yeah.
literally
It's like
said it when the game was announced, pretty
i-
much.
it's like full disclosure. I love this game, and I don't care about anything negative about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
was
it's
like
just like,
going through those. I read like 3 or 4 negative reviews. I was like, I can't do this. so,
yeah, it's like, nope.
so
It's like, oh, all opinions welcome. Nope. FF7 is if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all.
yeah,
That's my
exactly.
and if you do, then you're on mute and I'll disconnect. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Yeah. You're entitled to your opinion, but I don't care about
But I
it.
don't want to hear it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I did. So I don't have a game for today's episode, but we'll do something I was maybe we were gonna talk about like the platinum trophy for like Seven Remake, but that I feel like is a longer conversation. So,
Yeah,
um,
the interesting thing I think there is that like there's platinum trophy, but then even more so is like the gold little trophy. I feel like getting the in-game gold trophy
oh yeah,
is more than the platinum,
right,
because you need to get all the, you know, all Tifa's dresses, or I guess those are part of the platinum, but there's something in the,
yeah,
damn it, what's it called, like the log or
yeah.
whatever.
Um,
The
yeah,
the,
I can't
the
remember what it was. Too. I know there's it's like every enemy scanned and like there is like a stats page or something where
yeah,
you have a
the log,
checklist of
or
things.
the log or the statistics or the
I think
whatever
it's called like battle log or something.
is more comprehensive than the platinum trophy itself. And
Right.
so it was just like, oh, I got platinum. Oh, but watching all of the Barrett's resolution, Tifa's resolution at the
Oh yeah, you
in the
didn't.
garden.
Yeah, I don't think that
Uh
was a trophy, was it?
no, no. So it's like, oh well, I'm obviously getting that.
Right.
Yeah, so anyways,
We had our own checklist for Seven
uh,
Remake to make sure
so
we did it all.
in the way that like the matte trophy can sometimes be lower than the platinum, in this one the matte trophy was higher.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, or I
Uh,
guess more appropriately, the Zamora trophy was
yeah, yeah,
higher.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
both went for that one.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Um, I don't know what we'll do for the next one, but when we have stuff that we want to talk about, then we'll plan a time. That's why I haven't stuck to like a hard schedule for us because I don't want to just force one unless we have stuff we want to discuss. So keep an eye out for that next couple weeks. And yeah, I don't know. That was a fun. Thanks for letting me do most of the talking because I finished RE4 and I was like, I need to talk about this game. It's like
Yeah.
this is why I did the podcast so I can talk about when I get this feeling I can gush about a game like this.
No, and it was a good gateway into a lot of fun stuff. So anyways,
Yeah,
no, as per usual, this was a fun time, and I hope everyone had a fun time listening.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for joining me, Matt. I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, cheers everyone. Bye bye.